Okay, I'm going to try to show you how to export your course from Blackboard to Canvas. And I guess I should be logged into Blackboard. And in my case, I'm going to export my most recent Stat 202 into Canvas. And that happened to be last summer session 2. So I'm going to go into that course shell. And I'm just going to sort of show you how it looks so that you'll recognize it when we see it on the other side. I just have a lot of different folders here, and it may be that not everything carries over, but what's most important to me is that each of my lessons are bundled with some slides and a link to the video. My videos are housed on YouTube. They don't have to be there, but that's where they happen to be, so I'm going to try to make sure my content that's important to me carries over. I have quizzes, those are very important to me, and each link is a separate quiz, and my labs and projects are over here. Okay. In case you're wondering, a project is just a large lab, but I gave them separate names. Okay, so then I'm going to export this, and you'll see how it looks different later. So I'm going to go to Course Management, Packages and Utilities, and open this up. Export Archive Course. And you can see I actually already have an export here. I'm going to delete this so I can create it again and show you how this looks. So I hit Export Package, and I'm going to click the desired components. I'm going to use the default file attachment settings. I want content. I don't need my announcements or calendar or discussion board. I don't want my grade center. I want to recreate that from scratch. I don't care about my settings or my banner image. Maybe I want my banner image. I changed my mind, but I definitely want my test pool, and that's going to actually take the longest time for me. Then I hit submit. And then you have to wait a long time until this zip link thing comes back. So I'm going to actually pause the video so you don't have to watch me waiting. Okay, so now this new export file has been created, and now I just download it. And from the Blackboard side, that's all you have to do. Then we're going to go over to the Canvas side, and actually I probably have 2 of these now because I did this twice. It's still downloading. I have to keep waiting. Well, make sure it's downloaded properly. I'm going to pause to make sure. I'm going to go, actually, here's the download link. It claims it's completed, so I'm going to, I don't actually believe this worked. So I'm going to just delete all this stuff and start over. It depends how much you trust your system, I guess. I don't believe that downloaded. Now, I guess you'll find out pretty soon if it worked or not. I'm going to just pause this for a second to make sure it downloads. Okay, well, assuming that worked, let's see if it worked. We're going to head over to Canvas, and I'm going to load the new course in, and then I'm going to show you some of my favorite Canvas tricks just while we're here. So I'm going to put this in this empty shell that was created, and you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of stuff here. And what I'm going to recommend is that you keep all this junk in one of your courses. Like if you're not going to move all your courses in one semester, maybe just keep one of these modules unpublished so you can refer to it. But I actually am not interested in anything that they have here. So I'm going to just delete everything. And so I'm going to just delete it through the HTML. So I'm going to just do that later. I just wanted to show you that trick, that if you have a hard time deleting stuff because it's very visually distracting, you can just say edit, and then here's the HTML button. Let me show you again. It's right here. That's the HTML version, and then you can just copy and delete everything that's in that box, and then you'll have I'll show you what it looks like over here in my other course. Over here, I already did this, and this is what happens. Everything looks blank and boring. So if you want blank and boring, just delete all the HTML in all the modules, and everything will look blank and boring. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the course copy, which I promised you. And you're going to go into your course settings. This course settings is your key to everything you want to do. They've hidden things in these various tabs. By the way, if you want to change the picture that goes with your course, you change it there. Then you hit over here, import course content. And of course, we're using Blackboard content 6789. And then we're just going to browse that zip file we just downloaded. And you want all content. I think that looks good. And again, this can take a while, so I'm going to pause so you don't have to watch it. Okay, you can see it's almost done. There's going to be more waiting while it processes, but I wanted to show you this transition. It's going to start processing. Okay, so now it's running. When this is finished, I will unpause again. Okay, it's almost done, and I wanted to show you that there will be a couple of issues. I don't know if your courses will contain issues. In my case, they were minor, but I just wanted to show you the course issues occurring. See, it says one issue, but it's actually 2 issues, but that's okay. So you just go investigate, and in my course, it said importer couldn't determine the correct answer for this question, but it actually is the same error on 2 questions. It was in my introductory quiz, which I'm not even going to necessarily give them, or I'm going to rewrite it anyway. But it was a free response where I just made a text box and said, hey, why don't you just answer this? Tell me anything you want. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm just going to delete this question. And I'm going to delete this here. Though at least I'm aware that I might have to look at that again, but it's nothing really important to the course. Okay, so I wanted to show you now, that's the end. We've imported everything, but now we've got a whole bunch of other stuff going on, and I wanted to show you how you can look at the student view. So if you say home, and then you can click on student view, then you see what the students see, and it always shows up in this like purple border. And I really just don't like all this stuff, and personally I'm going to get rid of it. But this is how you can see what everything looks like. I'm going to give you some of my advice. My advice is to take good note of everything on the side here for the students. Everything that you see has an eyeball crossed out, then the students can't see that. And I want to tell you some of the pros and cons of some of those options so that you can decide. So if you go to settings, the key to everything. You want to click on navigation, and this is how you move everything. So for example, I happen to know student input on teaching is broken, so I don't want to put it in there until it's fixed. It just goes to a dead end, so there's no point in it. I don't have course reserves right now, so I don't need to distract the students with that. I don't really want to put the quizzes up here, even though I have quizzes. I could choose, but then I would have the quizzes in assignments and in quizzes, which is fine if you want it that way, but it's just a decision to make. I want my students to be able to see each other, and so I leave people there. Grades is something you really have to decide if you want them to see the grades, and I'll explain why. So let me just go back to the student view for a second. If I go back to student view and they go to grades, there are a whole bunch of options that you may not want them to have access to. It allows them to play with the grades and put in like fake grades and all sorts of stuff, and you can control all that, I assure you, but it takes a lot of time and effort to figure out how to control all that. and you might accidentally miscommunicate your student's grade to them if they can see this and you haven't optimized it. So if you wish to shut it down, it's not like you're not communicating, because they can still go to assignments, and every assignment they've done, it will tell them the score on the assignment. So you're not hiding information, but you're hiding the grid that gives a calculation based off of the information. So if you just want to communicate the grades, you can still hide the grades. But if you want to communicate like a grade average or a running tally, or you want to give them all the grades in a compact format, then you want to turn the grades back on. So that's your choice, of course, but I just want to let you know that that's what happens. One piece of advice is, if you're going to let them see My Media, you probably want to also put in the other part of that. Hold on a second. It's called Media Gallery. Sorry. It's called Media Gallery, and I'm going to show you how to put it in. I don't see any purpose of having My Media without Media Gallery. So My Media is how the students are going to get into Kaltura. So the other thing is, though, if for each course you have a Media Gallery, and I'm not going to click it in this course, I'm going to click it in an unpublished course because there's nothing in it. I haven't published anything to this course, but if you want the students to be able to record clips and share them with each other, then you want to open up the Media Gallery, because that's where they would post things too. So if you just open up My Media, they can make recordings, but then they can't post them for each other to see. So it doesn't really make sense to me why you would open up. Somebody may have a reason, but if I'm going to open up My Media, I'm going to open up Media Gallery, although I can see doing it the other way. You may want to have full control and be the only one posting to that space, in which case you would open up Media Gallery but not give them access to My Media. But then it would make it a little harder for you, but I think that's okay. So let me just show you how to do that. So like, let's say I'm here in one of my new courses, and I want to open up My Media and Media Gallery. Go to navigation, and you see you can either say disable or enable, or you can simply just drag things around. You can just click and drag this up and down to get it to make it go from the published to the unpublished part. Well, usually I want to enable this. And you can move them around like so. Okay, let's see. I wanted to show you a couple of fun facts. Up here in your account, you can see global announcements. And for example, I didn't want to look at this banner every time I logged in, so I just said get rid of this announcement. But then I thought, well, maybe I want to read it. So they've made this special exception. Once you get rid of global announcements, you can still see them. And my recommendation is to go ahead and enroll yourself in this course. I already enrolled in this course, so I don't need to do it again. And the reason I'm recommending is because it says it's a self-paced course, but really it's just a whole bunch of help pages. So I do recommend that you enroll yourself in that, so that later, if you have questions, you can look through the help pages to get answers. And the way you would find that is under courses. If you click all courses, everything shows up. Everything you are part of shows up here. But I can click and unclick these stars, okay? And the star being on means that I'm going to see it when I go back to my dashboard. And that's how I control which icons show up and disappear. And that's just for your convenience. It doesn't change the publishing status of the course. It only changes your particular view when you go to your dashboard. If you want to publish or unpublish the course, that controls whether the non-instructors can see it. So you will see everything that you're a teacher in, but your students won't see it until you publish it. And by the way, here's the colors. If you want to change the colors of these little icons, you can change them. It doesn't control the picture underneath. Like I already showed you how to change the picture, but it just changes the color, the overlay on top of the picture. And again, that's for your convenience. Okay, another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the course end date that's in settings. In settings, you scroll down, where is it? Here we go. This is the course end date. If you have students working on incompletes, you will probably want to extend that so that they can access the materials. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. That's a difference between Canvas and Blackboard, is the way they treat old classes. And another thing to think about is your files, okay? So there's a reason why you might want to show your students all your files, and there's a reason why you might not. So if you show your students all your files, then they will see all your rough drafts that you got rid of, unless you go and maintain that. So for example, I can go back into my files myself. These are my files, and I can delete all my old drafts, and I do that. But if you don't want to be on top of that and deleting all your bad drafts, and you let your students see the files, they'll see all the bad drafts. So that's your choice. So you just decide, how you want that to work for your course. And I think I've covered everything I wanted to show you. Just basically at this point, you don't want to publish the course until you're sure that it's the way you want it to look. So I just now brought over all my material into section 10, but I already have been working on section 9, and it looks a little bit more like the way I want it to look, so I'll show this section to you. For me, I want to get rid of all the pre-filled material that was there, but I'm not ready to get rid of it completely yet in the other section because I want to read some of it. But, all right, so that's what everything looks like. All right, hope that helps.